Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Snake Talk. It's been a minute since we've been here. Seems like
it's been a
while.
bit.
It was nice we did have a podcast, obviously, on Wednesday. If you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. Noah had a podcast last night. Interesting podcast. I listened to most of it. It was actually really good. Had a cool guest on. But this is first Snake Talk back, so it's kind of cool. We do not have a guest this week. Going to be working on. I always keep saying I'm going to work on this.
But we really are.
But we're going to work on this hard, and it's tough because we're traveling and stuff like that. But welcome to Snake Talk. I appreciate you guys. Obviously, we'll be answering your questions. Feel free to hit me up in the super chats, guys. Obviously, that's how this thing works. We're going to talk about the trip. Going to talk about some of the experiences from the trip. But I'm happy to answer your questions. Happy to just kind of mold.
Steer the ship, guys. We appreciate
it. You guys always steer the ship, man. It's up to you guys. So, but no, it was a great trip. I mean, obviously, we're back a few days ago. Those of you that are watching the vlog probably think that you're not back. As a matter of fact, I had a couple tours today where like, oh my gosh, we thought you were out of town.
Yeah.
So just so you guys understand, like when we travel, two things happens. Number one, we try to get a couple days out just in case, because you never know what you're going to experience on the road.
And we don't know where we're stopping, so it could be in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we could stop, no Wi-Fi, can't upload a vlog. So we always want to have a couple days in the can so that we can have the vlog going. And then oftentimes when we're on these road trips, we sometimes will film 2 or 3 vlogs in a day, just by happenstance. And this particular trip, we did almost every day, we did two vlogs.
Some 3, some 4.
Yeah. Well, we went to 2 or 3 or 4 locations, but pretty much shot 2 vlogs. A day. Right. I think one day we shot like 2.5 vlogs basically.
Yeah.
But the point is that then when you get out of those trips, you have a few days in the can as well, right? So you start with a couple days and you end up with more vlogs. So then what that does really, quite frankly, is it gives us an opportunity to kind of slow down a little bit, catch up, maybe take a day off, whatever the case may be. So, but it was an absolutely beautiful road trip.
One of the best, for sure. It was awesome.
It was really a good time. So we'll go through kind of how that went. We talked a little bit about it on Wednesday, but I wanted to break down kind of what my experiences were on the road, which places we visited, what I took from each of those places. And it was really an amazing thing. I know, again, hit me up with super chats, guys. I know Rare Dog, our girl Debbie, just hit us up right here. Had a great time with Debbie, and we'll talk about that when we went to Mike Wilbanks. She was the one that put the whole thing together, the admin for growing up Wilbanks. So what'd she have to say?
She said, I personally mailed your care package direct out of Wilbanks yesterday. Can't believe I left it in my hotel room. Enjoy the touch of Canada when it arrives next week. Sorry it did not accompany you home.
No, and so basically Debbie put a little care package together for us that were like some Canadian goods and from like ketchup, chips to just some sweets and some all kinds of stuff. So so it
almost
was
a little Canadian mukbang in the car.
And for us, you guys may or may not know this, we're like right, literally 15 miles from the border.
I think I could literally throw a rock to Canada.
Yeah, and so I grew up when I was younger, you could just go right to Canada.
Oh, right, like pre 9/11, right?
You didn't even need a passport. You just went across the border, and came back.
Wow.
So then after 9/11, you just need a passport, or what they would call an enhanced driver's license. I personally just had a passport, so I didn't have to get the advanced or the enhanced license. But for people that don't want a passport, why? I don't know. I have no idea why you want a passport. But you can actually get an enhanced license that just gives you the ability to go to Mexico or Canada without a passport. But
now, is that just for border states?
It's because
I don't think I can hear that in Jersey ever.
I'm pretty sure it's just border states. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know that for sure. But the point is that I was in Canada my whole life, so growing, so it was cool to have a care package. In the last 18 months, we can't go to Canada.
That's right.
We're the borders are shut here. So as a matter of fact, I have a lot of family just over the border, and it's definitely a bummer to not be able to go say hi to my family.
For sure.
And see my family. Obviously these holidays have been a little different. Like we always have a big 4th of July.
Yeah, a little more hollow, right?
Yeah, even though our Canadian friends, obviously, they're not necessarily celebrating the 4th of July over there. They always come for a big barbecue and fireworks and stuff like that. And I haven't been able to see them for the last 2 years. So So it's nice to have a little slice of Canada from Devi. So
and Devi, don't worry about it. Honestly, it's probably better off if it didn't come with us.
Yeah.
We probably would have like had it in the car and it would have been melting. So it worked out perfect.
Yeah, or if you wouldn't have left it in a hotel, if you would have brought it to Mike's place, it was so hot there, it would have probably melted.
Definitely.
So it worked out good. But nevertheless, again, great to be back. And so let's go ahead and get started. And like I said, as you guys want to super chat me, I'll answer your questions. But let's get started with the road trip. All right. So basically, if we started, it was kind of cool. We went to Justin Cabellico's place.
Yes,
obviously, I've known Justin from when he just got into ball pythons. When he was just starting.
Bought some of his first animals from you.
Yeah, he said his first clown ball python came from us, which is amazing.
Yeah, it was cool to hear him say, like, this collection has, like, your lineage in it. You know what I mean? Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to think of that and to see how far he's taken it was pretty impressive. So basically what we did is we drove down. It was about 13 hours down to his place, roughly somewhere in that range. And we're going to stay the night and then hit Justin's in the morning. and little did we know, Justin has a beautiful place, by the way.
In a beautiful place of Georgia.
In a beautiful place of Georgia, but it's certainly like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So as we're like nearing the destination, we're kind of getting a little nervous. Like, where are we staying?
Yeah, where are we staying? And ironically enough, we Googled, like hotels near us or whatever. And
luckily enough, there was a 5-star one close.
Yeah, there was a 5-star one that was called the Claremont. Ooh. And we pulled up to this thing in this little city, Claremont, I'm assuming is the city or whatever. And in this hotel, I got lost. You okay?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I cut out for a second. Yeah. So we pull up there and literally it's like an abandoned hotel. It's completely abandoned.
Ghosts are the only thing living in this hotel.
There's definitely no electricity. No one's been there for years. How this got a 5-star rating on
have
Google,
no idea.
No clue, because it looks like it had been many years. But to be honest with you, even if it was open, I don't know that I would have wanted to stay there because it was a terrifying looking place.
Yeah, it looked straight out of the haunting.
And I stayed. I remember once I went to Kevin McCurley's place in New Hampshire. And it was me and a friend of mine, Corey, and we just, again, same thing. I just like, hey, hotels in the area, and there was this really beautiful looking hotel that was not that expensive. It was about the same price as Holiday Inn. So I was like, let's stay there. And it was one of those types of hotels too that was like super. I mean, certainly at least 150 plus years old.
Oh, man.
Looks like it maybe used to be like it was probably recycled into a hotel from something else. Had this huge grand
crematorium.
Yeah, like this huge grand staircase that was made out of wood and just there was a bar in the hotel that was like all this old. I mean, it's definitely like, certainly 1800s, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember going to the room, and Corey, this is 2 rooms. Corey went to one room, I went to another room, and literally it's just like the ceilings are like really short in certain areas, and the bathroom, like the door is like, if
not wide enough.
Yeah, it's very thin. I mean, like total like old thing. And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, if I've ever stayed in a haunted hotel, this is it.
Dude.
This is the haunted hotel. But I remember, sleeping with one eye open that night, so to speak. But it was great, and it was a great experience there. But thankfully, the Claremont was shut down because I don't know that.
It was.
And we did have to drive about 25 miles in the wrong direction, unfortunately, because we were just literally like 2 or 3 miles from Justin's place. And we had to drive like 25 miles away just to drive the 25 miles back to his place in the morning. That being said, we had a great time at Justin's place.
Beautiful property too, yeah.
Yeah, the property was amazing. I mean, he's, I would say that as a reptile breeder, right? Like, I'm not talking about someone that does other things.
Yeah, like takes reptile money and puts it into something else.
Or people that have money and then get into reptile breeding, because there are certainly a lot of wealthy people that breed reptiles that, maybe amassed their wealth from other areas or maybe made a little money and invested wisely or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But I would say from reptile money, Justin's living the dream.
For sure.
Because his house is absolutely gorgeous. It's on a gorgeous property.
Rolling hills of Georgia.
Yeah, rolling hills of Georgia. It's got a little horse pasture. And then his facility itself is second to none. I mean, I think that's like the poster child for what you want a facility to look like. I mean, if you were to build a facility, a breeding facility from scratch, and you were like, I want it to be state of the art, that's what you would want it to be.
Right.
That's what you'd want it to be. I mean, from the moment you walk in the door till the time you leave, it's opulence to the max. Cleanliness, perfectly taken care of. Looks like there hasn't been a drop of bedding on the floor ever.
And you can tell when you go somewhere when somebody just cleaned up for us. You know what I mean? Versus like when it's clean all the time, because it's hard to get smudges off that were on for 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like spotless.
Yeah, no, it was spotless. I mean, it was really beautiful, and so obviously some great animals. The thing I think I was the most impressed with, and I told you this, Jay, is that I think the quantity of animals was on point, right?
Yep.
So I think that I tell people this all the time. Is that I think that, and this is a pun, obviously, but I don't think reptile breeding often scales. And what I mean by that is that, if you have 100 clutches of ball pythons and you make $100,000, and I'm just throwing a number out there. Say you have 100 clutches, you make $100,000. If you produce 300 clutches, you don't make $300,000, right?
No.
Number one, if you're going for 300 clutches, you usually have a lower percentage. So if you go for 300 clutches, you're probably going to push 250, and then your overhead for the extra 150 clutches oftentimes really gets
almost
wonky.
Negates,
and so my point is that there's a sweet spot, right? And some people are really hitting that sweet spot. I think that, Billy at Mutation Creations hit it. Miguel has hit it. Ozzy Boyds has hit it. Justin Cabellico has hit it. And certainly a ton of other people have hit it. That perfect sweet spot where you have enough animals where you're doing very, very well, but not so many animals that you need more than maybe 2 employees.
Right. And that's important.
And that's the sweet spot when you're talking, in particular when you're talking about ball pythons. Now, I've obviously went, the other way in the past. I was, I think at our peak we had, just snake breeding. We had like 15, 16 employees for snake breeding.
Which is a lot.
Now we have about the same amount of employees, but we have multiple businesses and
and different levels of the business. There's breeding geckos.
BHB, we have whatever, a half dozen employees or something like that. So, but I think that the quantity that he had was spot on.
Yeah, sustainable, right?
Yeah, and as long as he continues to upgrade and cultivate the next thing, I think you're going to see him be the leader of the pack for a long, long time to come. And that doesn't mean that there won't be other people that are doing very, very well, but Justin is definitely the cream of the crop. So,
do you have a favorite animal you saw there?
It's really tough because there were so many that were really incredible. That
I like those Krakens, the Mojave Kraken.
The Mojave
sick,
Krakens
dude.
things, and I can't even remember what the genetics were behind it.
It was like Wookiee something.
I don't
remember.
It was all over the place, but those were super cool. There's no doubt about it. Some of his lavender pied stuff was really, really good. Because it wasn't just like lavender pied; it was like orange dream, lavender, yellow belly pied, and they looked so much oranger than any other lavender pied I'd ever seen. So, he's got a lot of stuff. I mean, there's the thing that I think was interesting about his place is like there was no common stuff at all. Like every drawer you opened was like a screamer.
No normal ball pythons hanging around.
There was that axanthic pied thing that he produced that was ridiculous.
So sick.
That he just, that was a spontaneous one. He didn't even know that it was popping out. So, but anyways, what did Becky just
let's hit a couple supers, then we'll hit the next stop on the trip. Becky just threw some love. Appreciate you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky. I saw it.
What's our weather today?
When you
Let me know about
the
our
weather. It's raining in
it's raining in Prince Edward?
Yeah, Prince Edward. Prince Edward, it's raining today.
Well, good to know. I hope it clears up for you, Becky. Little Bogus says, hey, guys, so happy you're back. What are the advantages of housing baby retics together?
So there really are no advantages at all. I think what happens with a lot of retic breeders, and even some ball pythons breeders do this, and I don't think that it's a bad thing. I don't know if there's advantages or disadvantages to this, but a lot of retic breeders and some ball python breeders keep their clutch together until they shed, and then they almost always separate them out, right?
Oh, okay.
Now, why they do that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's just easier.
I don't have to worry about it right now.
I don't have to set them up until they shed. I don't know that there's any advantage to keeping them together until they shed. There is definitely zero advantage to keeping together after they shed, because feeding a bunch of retics in the same box would be a nightmare.
Try to take them all out with rats on your fingers.
I just think it's and it might be a space issue too, where if you have 6 clutches of retics hatch, that mean you have 200 and something babies and maybe only have 150 slots. You're like, oh shit, I better sell some snakes before I can set these snakes up. But like I said, most ball python breeders I think separate. But some people I know, like Miguel and some other breeders I know, that they keep their clutches together till they shed out and then they separate them out. But yeah, that's about it. No real advantage.
John Rogers says, just now joining, so I might have missed it if you talked about it, but how cool were Tyler and Chandler?
They were assholes.
Yeah, terrible people, man,
I hate
honestly.
them. I hate them.
Real Florida folk.
Yeah,
you know?
really. No,
we loved them, man.
No, I will talk about Tyler and Chandler, but both of those people, you know.
Yeah, both of those Floridians.
Those Floridians. No, they really had a huge impact on me. I mean, in a positive way. I mean, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, they're super good guys. I mean, really, really good guys.
Our boy, Simple Man. He dropped a little 50 banger on the table.
Shit, look at this,
He
man.
says, glad you had a good time. What was your favorite crocodile experience on your trip?
You know, definitely, you know, we saw a lot of crocodilians, but certainly my favorite was you know, feeding the Nile at primitive predators. And really, you know, so anyone that knows how I do animals, whether it's, you know, venomous snakes or big snakes or crocodilians, I do like to some reason play with it. Like I like to see how close I can push it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. Jay and I talk about it all the time. Like it's this weird thing with me. Like even when I'm in the most sketchiest situation with an animal, I feel calm.
Yep.
And I never feel out of control, and I'm never fearful. Yet, you know, there's so many things in life I'm fearful of. You know, I'm afraid of bridges. I'm afraid of, you know, this. I'm afraid of that.
It's almost like it makes up for it with the animal thing, right?
Yeah,
it's like, all right,
yeah.
well, we won't make you afraid of animals, but you're going to be afraid of all these other things.
So I like to. So Kyle obviously, you know, had a pretty decent sized male Nile that was in the water, 2 females on nests on the sides. So Ryan and Kyle were going to keep me protected from the females, so I could only focus on the male, because obviously you can't be dodging a male charging at you and worrying about females charging you as well. And so I was focused on that. And I don't know his animals, right? Like I've never fed his animals, so I don't know what to expect. So I have a frozen rabbit. If anyone's watched the vlog, you'll see it. And he's like, tap the water, it doesn't come out. He goes, you might have to almost like tap it on the face, almost like on the head. So I finally like just tick its nose and it explodes out of the water. But of course, you know, probably a lot of people would then feed it. Well, not me. I want to now get it to get closer to me.
And
you know
as that happened, the female rushed.
Yes, as it happens, I can hear clomping out of the corner.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
I can hear like clink, clink, clink. You know, I know the female's coming, but I know Kyle's there. I have 100% faith in him being able to protect me. So I at no time was worried about that female, but I did hear she was chomping.
And that's what Noah was now watching. Right?
Noah was behind me, and so at one point it was interesting because I was like toying with him, and he charged me, and I thought to myself like, wow, that was close. And then I threw the rabbit to him and he ate it. And normally with Jay and Noah, if I do something and it's really close, they'll be like, holy shit.
Yeah, like as soon as the cameras turn off, we'd be like, oh.
Like, wow, that is freaking close. I can't tell you how many times we've done something and right after the camera's off, Jay's like, holy shit, dude, that was close. And
no one said anything.
No one said anything. Everyone's like, so I thought, wow, I thought that was close, but
not.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was not that close. And it wasn't until we got in the car later on.
It was days later.
Yeah, a couple days later, and Noah was actually reviewing the footage. And he just goes, holy shit. And I'm like, what? And he goes, look at this. And that big adult male came like 1.5 inches from my leg.
Very, very small.
Like 1.5 inches from my leg, chomping, you know, like a clump.
Yeah, boom, boom.
1.5 inches. And like I said, I knew I was close, and I wanted to be close, but I probably still thought I had a few more inches than that. So that tells you how close it was. So that was probably the most interesting experience and most but again, what the interesting thing is, even with it being that close, even though I thought it was close,
you were still calm.
I was still calm as could be. I mean, like there was my heart rate. I guarantee if I had a heart rate monitor, it wouldn't have went up 1 beat because I was just super, super calm about it. But so that was probably,
that's the one you'll tell everyone.
That's the one I'll tell everyone,
right?
But there was a million other really amazing.
Blondie was fun.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about all that stuff as we go on in today's podcast. But it was amazing. I mean, there was a lot of experiences that were lifelong experiences that I'll remember forever.
Soulless Honky says, hi from the Northwest.
What's up?
I'm glad you had an amazing trip.
I am glad to. I'm glad to. So basically, tomorrow we have the Wilbanks barbecue.
That solidifies.
And that's the end of the trip. And then we do have a little recap coming in. Was it the next day or?
We have a recap coming for what happened when we were gone, and then what at the shop, and then recap for So Anthony was back here filming stuff when we were gone. So we kind of show what happened back here, and then we had a couple clips from the trip that we didn't get into the main vlog. And that's when I told you that there were times that we filmed 2.5 vlogs. Those were the half vlogs that just didn't make it into the full content
thing. So, but we didn't want to not show because they were some amazing experiences too, like McCarthy's Wildlife.
I'm so bummed I didn't go, dude. That place looks incredible.
It was phenomenal. And so that was the day that Jay was with his family, and Savannah kind of talked to me. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
We're getting there.
So let's hit a couple more, and then we'll get it back to the conversation.
Our girl Becky came back to say, I'm a pretty boring person. The weather's all I got.
Well, I enjoy your updates on weather, Becky.
And that's all we all have, right? I guarantee 90% of everyone's conversation in the morning with whoever gas station clerk. Today. Yeah, you're like, oh man, it's rainy out. Going to the beach.
It's supposed to be cool out there today.
Alex Rogers says, "Hey Brian, it was great to see you and the gang at the Growing Up Wilbanks event."
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was a great event, and we'll talk about that too. So
we can move on.
Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead. Again, guys, any other supers, go ahead and
boom, boom, boom,
bang, bang, bang me, and ooh, that sounds weird.
That's getting cut.
That's going to be a cut. That's going to be a clip right there. Make that into a meme, everybody, please.
Yeah.
So then after we got done with Justin's, which was really great, we drove down to Orlando. And that's when we did the first day really adventure was Gatorland, right?
Yeah.
So we met up with Savannah and Mike and Danny and the Gatorland crew and had a great time there. I always love Gatorland. I think that the Gatorland thing was interesting because I think that the more they're getting to know me and we've been around, they're gaining trust in me as well. So whereas in the past maybe Mike would go in and feed Blondie, the Nile crocodile, the beautiful Nile crocodile, feed her, and then I would feed second. He's just like, no, go ahead, feed her.
Yeah,
but you got to remember that every time a crocodile is eating for the first time, it's the most aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Because in its head, it's thinking, I may never get fed again, so I have to be super aggressive to get this food.
Yeah.
And then once you feed it its first meal, it kind of calms down. I've fed Cuban crocs before where they've charged so quick where it's like you almost poop your pants. And then at the end, you're almost handing them food.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally, I remember once I was at Sean Heffleck's place and we fed this Nile crocodile named Lizzie, Cuban, and it popped out of the water so quick and charged me faster than any crocodile has ever charged. And I remember getting that food, I had tongs and got that food in its face quick, bam, it nailed that thing. And literally like 3 chickens later, I was kneeling down a foot away from it, just handing it a freaking, a chicken. And so Mike let us just go in and
you had the run of the place, man. It was sick.
Fed Lyle and Nile crocodile, fed Blondie, Savannah let me in with some Niles in the back that were, what'd they call them?
It was
like essentially, it was like the troublemakers. But it was something like that.
Yeah.
There was a group of them that they were like called like the troublemakers.
Like the deviants or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. And they were fun as could be. So I probably had the most fun. Number one, I always love hanging around Savannah. She's always the best.
She's a trip,
and
dude.
She's so much fun. And I love all of Gatorland. It's one of my favorite places to go in the country for sure.
Yes.
But that was probably the most fun I've had at Gatorland. Not to mention, we also got a chance to meet a lot of
you guys,
our podcast people.
That's what made it so cool. Is we had a crew, a motley crew running around, and everyone was hanging out.
And so many of our podcast followers, Let Roses Burn, Future Reptarium Employee, Jerica,
amongst many others.
Amongst a ton of others that were hanging out. Was it Ryan?
Yeah.
Ryan was with us. So it was a great time. It was a really good time. But so Gatorland was really dope. I think the highlights there were certainly, probably feeding Blondie because I'd never fed her before.
Yeah, and she was a pretty good pistol too.
Yeah, she was on a nest, so she was kind of on fire a little bit. Lyle the Nile crocodile is always fun because it's just
freaking huge.
Yeah,
man.
it's like spooky to watch. It almost is like almost animatronic when it comes out of the water, right?
It's giant. I mean, it's a big. It's outside of Maximo, which was the crocodile we fed at St. Augustine that we'll talk about later in the podcast. That was the biggest crocodile we were around. Was Lyle the Nile crocodile. So, and man, I tell you, I wish I had a place where I could have gigantic crocodilians because they are truly.
I think they became my favorite animal.
Yeah,
on this trip.
They're just super smart. They're super fun, and man, that's the only thing that I don't like about being up in Michigan is that, man, if I could, and I don't see a way we could ever keep, at least not in this place that we could keep anything. Now maybe down the road we'd have another facility that could be that way, but it's I will say Reptilia up in Toronto, which I wonder how they're doing, with the lockdowns being so severe in Ontario. I just wonder how they're surviving it. I mean, I'm hoping I'm assuming government subsidies, because I'd imagine they have to be closed. And I know that they did 50% of their revenue, much like us here at the Reptarium, goes from outreach, whether it be tours or events, school events, and there's none of that going on. So I wonder how Reptilia is. But they had a couple pretty decent sized now crocodiles indoors, and it didn't look like a small environment.
Okay.
It actually looked pretty decent. Really nice. We got to get, when the world changes, we got to get up to Reptilia, because that place is really dope.
I've heard nothing but awesome stuff about it.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
And Josh at Pale Scales says, this week's vlogs were wicked. You guys rule, and I love tuning in. Keep living that 100 life, and hopefully one day I can live that way too.
Well, Josh,
I think the dream.
Thanks, man. Josh, I think you can. I think anyone can, to be honest with you. I think it's just a matter of, believing in yourself and working, hard. I think that, it's a tough thing, because, following your dreams is tough. There's a lot of, sacrifice that comes with it. But at the same time, it's worth it, to me, at least. It's worth it to most people, I think, that succeed in what they want to do. So just keep on going, Josh. I think you can get there. But anyway, so we did Gatorland. Was really fun, really amazing experience.
Yeah, grabbed some food and then headed out for the night.
Yep, and then Jay actually went down to stay with his folks.
Yep.
For the day, which was he stayed a couple days, which is cool. And then sick. We met up in Punta Gorda at Ty Park's Iguana Land.
So cool, dude.
Yeah, Ty's number one. I've known Ty for a long time. One of the sweetest human beings on the planet. He's just a really good guy, and he has obviously a passion for conservation and passion for his animals, and he's just pouring unbelievable amounts of money and energy into Iguana Land, and so we got to see it. Obviously there's a lot more to come, right? I think that the Cyclura Center has 7 like Disney quality exhibits that 2 are not even done yet. They're like close to being done. And there's still 5 more to go there, as well as the entrance to there is going to be the same thing. So that's not done. That's got to still be done. There's still some bits and pieces here and there that need to be done to kind of finish out, to kind of do. And it sounds like on the 28th of September, he's going to do like a closed open, closed open. Wait a minute, a cold open.
Cold open, yeah. And closed open.
A closed open, yeah. That's where I live my life. Yeah. But he, so it's going to be a cold open with probably invitations only. And then I think he said by March he hopes to be open fully to the public. And there's a whole new building in the middle that isn't even built yet. Yeah. And then there's a lot of things to do. So I looked at it 2 things. Number one, I looked at it hugely inspirational. 2, I looked at it as like, holy shit, he's got a lot of work to do. And I feel for him, because I know how that thing goes. And I know that he's much like I am. He wants it done. He wants it done now. Yeah. And it's just going to take time. But that being said, truly a spectacular place. It's shocking how beautiful the place is, and it's going to be this is what I've said. Every reptile person in the country is going to want to go to that place.
100%.
Because it's a reptile lover's dream, and I think it's going to be really good, and hopefully the area, I know there's a lot of like rumors of the area itself building up. I know pre-COVID, there was like an announcement of a several $billion like shopping center that was going to be going in not too far away. I believe like a freeway was going to be built in the area as well.
Yep.
So if all those things if all those things come together, he'll be a big destination, and anyone that goes down into that area is going to want to visit. And again, that's just normal people. But when it comes to reptile people, I've got to imagine that
People
every
come from all
person's
over.
going to flock to that place to see it once, and if not more than once. I can't wait to see it when it's done. Cause
You know what I loved about that place too, Bri, is like one of the things he said when we were there was that like how good that place is for research, for researchers to come there, because to go on the island to look for these animals, you might take months to get the data that you can get in a day or two being there, you know, and that's really cool.
Well, that's, I think, the difference, right, between Ty and most people, even myself included, is that we still have to, like, pay the bills.
Right.
Commercially and stuff like that. Whereas Ty is you know, this is, like, just a dream for him.
It's a passion.
It's a passion project, and he doesn't need to make the money. As a matter of fact, I believe that any of the proceeds that come from the future go right to conservation.
Yeah.
So he's going to be able to do conservation work. He's going to be able to do... you know, lots of research work and obviously breeding critically endangered animals that no one else. I mean, he's been so good. Like, you know, he's got the Cichlera recordi that he just got eggs from the other day. And this is, you know, a group of animals that has been in the country for a long time that no one's been able to breed. And then they sent them to him, and 8 months later he has eggs.
Yeah.
And I know he's got a couple other species of Cichlera that are even more rare than recordi that he's working on that you know, like major zoos have not been able to produce.
Yeah, he has like half of all the ones that are in the U.S. just to be able to breed him because they know he'll crush it out.
Yeah,
you know?
They're like, hey, this guy's going to do it, and he's been successful. So it's super exciting to see.
How'd you like playing with the Parenti, dude?
Yeah, so we did get to meet a Parenti.
So cool.
Varanus giganticus, and you know, that's a dream animal. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm sure that, you know, those Parentis, you know, ties to Parentis are the only Parentis in the country that you could actually touch, you know, because the other Parentis that are in the country are at AZA accredited zoos, and they don't allow contact. And so it's not that he's going to allow normal people to come and play with his Parentis, but for us to be able to do it was pretty special. And it's, again, the only time I'd ever mess with Parentis, and I'd mess with several of them in Australia, you know, where they're from. So so you know, to be able to do that was amazing, and just a ton of stuff down at Ty's place was super cool. And like I said, I wish him the best, and I really think that he's got something special there, and I think he'll do good. You know, I really do. I think he will, and I can't wait. It's neat. See, for me, and this was a theme, right?
Yeah.
For Florida, was almost every place we went, with the exception of a couple, were in the process of doing something, right? So they were like, you know, this is what it's. So it was cool to go to Chandler's, to go to Will Nace's, to go to Ty's place, to go to, you know, so many places that went, Sabrina and Steve's.
Primitive Predators,
Primitive Predators. And to see, like, you know, them talk about their vision, much like I talked about my vision of the Reptarium 1.0, 2.0, and now I'm talking about my vision of 3.0 and 4.0. And I love seeing that and visualizing what they're going to do. So now we went to Iguana Land and have a baseline of, and I've been there before, but it was before it was going to be a zoo. It was just a breeding center at that time. So now we get to go there and see it in the process, and we're gonna one day go back and see it finished.
It's gonna be so cool to see where it came from, right?
Yeah, I actually like that more than anything. It's like, rather than waiting till something is finished, I want to see it in the process, you know, and so
the nuts and bolts behind everything,
behind it. Yeah, so super cool. Great time down in there, and then Jay went back to hang out with his family, and Savannah. Savannah pulled a little fast one on me here. She's like, she said, "Now listen, I wanted to go to McCarthy's Wildlife Sanctuary for a long time. Been following them on Instagram, which, by the way, their Instagram got hacked. I'm actually talking to my manager about trying to get them their Instagram back. So they started a new Instagram. So go show them love on their new Instagram at McCarthy's Wildlife Sanctuary, and hopefully I can get their old Instagram back that had, you know, a couple 100,000 followers, I believe.
Wow, that's a bummer.
So it just got hacked, and they got screwed. But hopefully my guys can get it back for them. But nevertheless, so Savannah said when we were at Ty, she said, we got to go over to Mark McCarthy's. And I was like, I always wanted to. And she goes, oh, it's basically right on the way. Now, let me set this up. From Orlando, I drove 2 hours to meet Jay in Punta Gorda, right?
Yes.
So it's 2 hours back to Orlando, where I was going back to spend the next day with Lori's birthday. So my whole family was in Orlando for Lori's birthday, and we were going to take the day off and do birthday stuff with Lori. So 2 hours back to Orlando. So she's like, it's basically on the way. And I'm like, all right, cool. So she goes, let me reach out to Mark. She goes, Mark's good. We're good to go. And I go, okay, how far is it? She goes, it's like 2.5 hours. And I go, okay. So I'm thinking, all right, man, it's 2.5 hours, maybe then a half hour back to Orlando.
Yeah.
And I go, well, how long is it from his place back to Orlando? She's like, 2.5, 3 hours. And I'm like, wait. I go, wait. So we're like on the way, but we're 5 hour drive back home, 5 to 5.5 hours instead of 2. That doesn't seem like on the way back anyways. But anyways, I was like, let's just do it. Screw it, you know?
Yeah.
And so her and Danny from Gatorland were driving separate. So I was just following them. And like I said, Jay split. So I just went with my camera, just doing the old
road school,
old school style. And it drove 2.5 hours to Mark's place. Probably the cleanest sanctuary I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's unreal looking. Yeah.
Like literally, I'm talking about every lion cage, every tiger cage, every, big cat to bird to, it looks like they've never pooped ever in their life. I mean,
like they just got put in 30
even
seconds.
to the point where like the paths from cage to cage are groomed. It's sand, and someone rakes the sand every morning like a frickin' like a garden, like a sand garden.
Yeah. Zen garden. Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, like, and we went there at the end of the day, so they had already been doing tours all day, and it was. I mean, I've never seen a place like that, and I've been to a lot of places. And I've been to like Mario's place, beautiful.
Oh, unreal, yeah.
But Mark's place was uncannily clean. We even went into his snake room. And it's the cleanest snake room I've ever seen. I mean, not one dirty cage out of the entire snake room, and it was shocking. I mean, and
he had a lot of animals.
He had a lot of stuff, man. He has a lot of stuff, and so I got a chance to play with the little baby clouded leopard that actually did come from Mario from Zoo Wildlife Foundation.
Oh, cool.
He actually gifted it to him.
Oh, that's awesome.
He just showed up one day and said, "Hey, guess what? This is yours."
What a gift, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. So. But ironically enough, Mark came from Michigan. That's where he grew up, is in Michigan. And so he's just a little bit older than me. So he was hanging around the people that were my mentors as I was growing up, like Jeff G and all these other guys from Michigan.
That's cool.
So he moved down in the I guess late 70s. He moved down to Florida. So I was only like 10 years old at the time. But the people he kicked around with were then the people when I was 15, 16, 17 that were the legends here in Michigan. So we got to talk some old the old time stuff and about people and then sure enough there's a place that I think we maybe have brought up on the podcast. If we haven't, I will now. There's a place in Arizona called Portal, Arizona.
Yeah.
And it's literally where like reptile breeders go to die or something like that. It's like everyone retires there and it's growing. I mean, like every time I hear there's more reptile breeders buy land in Portal, Arizona and build houses. And
it's
sure
cool
enough, Mark has a property in Portal, Arizona.
No,
he doesn't. I'm like, what? You're there? He goes, oh yeah, I go there, once in a while. And
that's so cool, man.
That's crazy. And he's not, I wouldn't call Mark a reptile guy. He has some amazing reptiles, but he's really a animal guy. He's got, big cats. He's got, mid-sized cats. He's got lemurs. He's got birds. He's a full-on zoo, right?
Yes, for sure.
So that was great. And then, by this time, I again woke up early in the morning to drive to Punta
all the way there.
Spent the afternoon in the baking hot sun.
I mean the most heat we experienced on the whole trip.
Yeah,
it was
unreal. It was oppressive, the heat, the sun.
Yeah.
And then drove 2.5 hours to Mark's. Spent probably 2.5, 3 hours at Mark's place. I could have spent much more time. And then sure enough, Savannah's like, well, Fred Grunwald is literally 5 minutes down the road. And I'm like, Savannah, I'm going to kill you. But Fred is a legend. I've been to Fred's only one other time. He's a super, super good guy. And again, he's a guy that people emulate down in Florida as like the guy. Like,
be more like Fred, right?
Be more like Fred is kind of like the saying in Florida.
I love that.
And so sure enough, I couldn't turn down the opportunity to go visit Fred. And so we went over to Fred's place and spent... probably an hour and a half or so as the sun was going down, and just his wife. So I mean, like he's got American crocodiles and alligators and a bunch of caiman and tons of turtles and this is all in his backyard.
That's what I love about Florida, bro.
Yeah, we're talking backyard, man. We're not talking about like 5 acres of land. We're talking like
residential
neighborhood backyard.
Yeah.
And he's got huge crocodiles. I mean, 25-year-old crocodiles in his backyard. And just a super passionate guy, super sweet, super lovely individual, and just an amazing place to go hang out, And so I wasn't sad that I did it, but I was definitely tired. So by the time we got back on the road, it was like close to 9 o'clock.
And then you have a 2.5 hour
and I have a
ride
2.5,
home.
almost 3 hour drive home. It's like 2 hours and 50 minutes is what it was. So it was almost 3 hours. So I didn't get back until like midnight.
And that was right over by that's like in Jupiter almost, right?
Yeah, it was close. Well, it was further away than Jupiter from Orlando. It was more south.
Oh, okay.
So I'd say Jupiter, I passed about 40 minutes
before getting there.
Yeah, like about 40 minutes into drive, I passed Jupiter. 35 minutes or so, I passed Jupiter. So, but that was a great day. Had a great time. Didn't get back. I was totally snotted. Yeah. And then the next day, of course, we took the day off and celebrated. Right? Yeah, celebrated Lori's birthday at Disney, which was great. I mean, it was super fun. But and then we started the adventure again. I know we got a couple more supers.
Yeah, you want to hit through these real quick,
and
then we'll get back in.
We'll get back in. Yep.
Nolo says, "Sup guys? Hope you're all doing well. Brian, how do you feel about Brian Gundy? Any stories? Also sending love from the Bay Area."
Sir, first off, thank you. Second off, Brian Gundy. I said Fred was one of the sweetest people. Ty was one of the sweetest people. Brian is in that category too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Brian is an amazing man.
Where's he at?
He's in San Jose.
Oh, okay. Is he the one you used to catch? You went and caught like garter snakes with or something?
I didn't go out with him, but he is a legendary herper.
Okay, that was the guy.
So if when we go out that area, if we ever get out that area again, which I hope we will, that's the guy to go out. He knows every spot to go out hunting.
We gotta
and
go,
herping.
dude.
But the only story I would have from Brian is that he's a big San Jose Sharks fan. Hockey fan. And so I went over to Brian's place to film his collection, which has a cool collection of animals, and he's been an animal educator for I think his entire career. I think just doing school programs and stuff like that. And but he's a huge hockey fan. So I happened to be in San Jose staying at my buddy Brent Burns, who plays for the San Jose Sharks. So we were staying at Burnsy's house. So I called up Burnsy and I'm like, "Hey, I'm over at No, I'm talking there. I'm over at Brian Gundy's place." And he's literally 10 minutes away from your house. I said, he wanted to invite us for lunch. Would you like to come? So sure enough, Burnsy pulls up. I always say it's the rape van because he has one of those big Sprinter vans.
Hell yeah, the conversion van.
Blacked out, converted into a little camper. And so he pulls up in this big rape van, Sprinter van. And Brian is just beyond himself because he's a huge, San Jose.
Oh my God.
And literally, we go in and we had, his wife cooked us some beautiful chicken, and I remember having fresh fruits, and I mean it was just a really beautiful lunch, and Brian the whole time his eyes were just wide open like, "Oh my God, Burnsy's sitting in my room." And I remember him coming out and going like, "Burnsy, I got your jersey, can you sign it for me?"
Wow.
So Burnsy signed his jersey, and so it was nice to see Brian get so excited about being around one of my buddies, and we had a great time. But no, every time I've spent with Brian, and you met Brian at Forest Place.
Oh yeah, he is a sweet dude.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, the white goatee, right?
Exactly.
Oh, what a sweetheart, man.
Yeah, really good guy.
I met him as he was pulling a caiman with a out of the out of a bin or whatever, and he turned to me and he's like, "You want to hold it?" I'm like, "I'm good, man." But he was a sweet dude, man.
Really good dude. So I'd like to, listen, I want to go to a lot of places and travel again, and I'd like to, I haven't been back to the Bay Area in a long time, actually. It's since that trip, actually, to be honest with you. I haven't been back there. I love San Jose, I love San Francisco, I love Fresno, I love all those areas that I've spent a lot of time in the past in, and I just haven't been out west. Haven't been out west since the COVID started. So we are gonna look at our calendar here shortly. Did I tell you this, Jay?
No.
That my Utah guys reached out to me.
Oh, sweet.
And they actually said, like, can you come next week? And I'm like,
get out,
I'm
really?
like, no, I'm not coming.
Yeah, like give us
next
a
week.
day.
Yeah, so I just don't. I need a little break from traveling. But I think maybe the end of the month we'll take a look at our calendars for you and me.
Yeah,
and we'll probably head out to Utah. Towards the end of the month, maybe beginning of next month, whichever the case may be. And then
we going, collabing or
collabing
cool.
and Sequest will be part of that collab.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
love going out there.
So
and then we gotta we should build a Cali trip one day.
Yeah,
because there's so much stuff out there we could hit.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and we gotta get out there and have some fun. It's been too long, so I miss my friends out there. I miss all my compadres on YouTube that I used to always hang out with. So I'll get out there again. But we'll get out there, man.
Nolo came back and says, for the Lori Wine Fund, because I know she'll need it now that you guys are back in town.
Yeah,
that's
she's
right.
Definitely. Yeah, thank
causing
you so
havoc
much.
out here.
I know, right? As soon as I'm back, she did say she enjoyed the fact that she had a good solid 9 days
Dude.
at home alone. With
nobody
just
dogs.
except the dogs. And she, I think she enjoyed, having that time alone.
We all like a little alone time, but it's nice to get back into the family vibes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Danielle says, I recently bought my first ball python. He's a hatchling. I can't get him to eat. He was eating live. All I have is frozen.
Yeah.
He ate 6 times before I got him.
Yeah, it's really tough because, baby ball pythons like live. You know, I mean, it's not easy to get them onto frozen as babies, right? So sometimes when you get 5, 6, 7 meals into them, they'll switch over to frozen, but a lot of times they won't. So really, it's not a matter of your ball python not eating. It's a matter of you not giving it what it wants to eat, right? And it probably wants live. Now, the only trick I would have that I would try before you have to go to live, I mean, you have no choice, unfortunately, if you want to eat, is to superheat the rodent, right?
Yes,
So
right before you
just
put it in,
before you
right?
put it in, just put it in really, not like boiling hot water, but really like tap water, like hot tap water.
Yeah.
Put it in there for 30 to 40 seconds, take it out, dry it off really quick, and then try to feed it. Sometimes that superheated rat actually will cause those heat pits to flare up, and they'll snap it. If that doesn't work, you just unfortunately have to go back to live. And listen, it's not for long. Sometimes they can switch at 5 or 6 meals. Sometimes it takes them 10 or 12 meals, but most of them will switch to frozen. So don't think that it's like, oh, I can't feed live. Forever. It doesn't mean forever. It just means for a little while.
Just some maintenance feeding,
yeah. Get it going and then go back, because that's just the way it is, unfortunately. And that's if there's a downside to ball pythons, it is that.
Yeah, that's really that's the only downside is just feeding could be sometimes tricky.
Yeah, it can be, but yeah.
Mama Tomsky in the building says, hi, Brian and Jay. Happy we had Jay. It was a family affair. Thank you. Yeah. And what an adventure. How about that hissing boa you grabbed? It was beautiful but sketchy. LOL.
Yeah, that boa was crazy.
They wanted to kill everything.
That was the meanest boa I've ever seen in my entire life.
And a big one, too.
And it was, I don't know why Gatorland wanted that.
I don't.
Dude, she was saying she needed educational animals. Like Savannah's the law passed. Yeah, the law passed in Florida where you can no longer take out Burmese or retics. Can't take them out.
Not out of the building, right?
You can't. Not even out. You can't even take them out if people are in your building.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
If there are people present, they have to be behind glass.
Wow.
Period. So you can't even have them enclosed in a building and have people cycle in. And so she's like, we need a big boa. Well, that is definitely not the boa you need for education.
Because unless you're trying to educate people on why you shouldn't have a boa, right? That'd be the only reason.
So, yeah, I mean, and I really worked with that animal for 10, 15 minutes trying to calm it down, trying to become friends with it.
Having it on the ground, relaxed.
Yeah, okay, we're friends. We just have to build this relationship, And usually I can break them pretty quickly.
Usually within 5 minutes, usually.
And that one just had nothing. I mean, it was going to bite every single thing. It was biting itself.
I think Savannah even said it hissed the entire way home.
Yeah, and she came. Yeah, that way home was via Mark, Fred, Orlando. So that was a 7-hour round trip, and she said it hissed the entire time. And that animal, I don't think will ever tame down. Now that being said, it was a beautiful snake.
It was,
and it was a wild caught boa. So it was wild caught in South Florida.
So, was that really?
That was a true South Florida wild caught animal. So
wow.
So that animal had lived in the wild its whole life, and I'm assuming maybe if you were in Colombia collecting boas, they would be similar. We're so used to the tameness of the boas that have been bred here again because they're
for 5Gs,
5, 6, 7, 8 generations into captivity. So they're so domesticated. We're used to boas just being tame as could be. I'm assuming that if you got a wild caught Colombian boa, it'd be just as aggressive.
Yes, dude.
But yeah, no, that was no joke.
Sierra says, so happy you're back. Wanted to let you know I visited Critchlow's Alligator Sanctuary last week and got to feed Mitch, and he's looking great.
You got to feed Mitchie.
How cool is that?
Oh, my God, that's awesome. I miss Mitch. We've been talking about getting out there.
We do got to go.
Yeah, we got to go. Just in the next couple weeks, we got to get a day.
It's not that far.
No, it's an hour and a half.
Yeah, and it's always a blast, dude.
Yeah, so we'll get back out there for sure. And go have some fun with those guys. I love Critchlow's Alligator Sanctuary. They're in Athens, Michigan. So anyone that wants to do something in Michigan, maybe come visit the Reptarium and you want to go on another adventure, head out to Critchlow's Alligator Sanctuary. About an hour and 40 minutes away, something like that. Well worth the trip. And just absolutely wonderful.
And that's all I got for right now, but we can head on to now we're at Chandler and Tyler, right?
Yeah, so we can go back to Chandler, like someone asked earlier. And so, you got to remember, let's, go back less than a year. And someone asked me if I was going to ever collab with Chandler. And my response was, I don't even know if Chandler likes me. You know? Like maybe he hates me. We had never communicated at all. We had never really talked to each other on any level through messages or anything. And I didn't know if maybe he was one of those people that's like, I hate Brian and I'm against everything he does.
Yeah.
And so, but certainly over the last 7-8 months, we did reach out to one another and kind of started a friendship via over online. But again, never had met him. I've always been a fan of his work. I think he's great. I think he's really talented. I love all his videos, so I've been a fan, of what he does. But I didn't know what kind of a person he was, other than the fact that we had messaged back and forth. So I was very pleasantly surprised at what a great guy he was.
Sweetheart, man.
Really, really good dude. And so not only the other thing about him that was interesting is that it remanded me of me a little bit.
Oh my God, that's what I was thinking the whole time, dude.
Yeah, because like when the cameras are on, you're always like hyped up and you're like, well, this is the boa constrictor or whatever. Yeah. And Chandler might be more energy than that. You know what I mean? Like I always say that on the vlog I'm me plus one. And I've told the story before. Some of you may not have heard it, but the first time I did like a TV thing way back in the day, my agent at the time said, Brian, I want you to go in there and I want you to be you plus one. He goes, I don't want you to be plus 10 because plus 10 is a fake, it's fake. You plus one is larger than life, And he said, people on TV are larger than life, so you have to act larger than life. So be you plus one. So I've always kind of taken that mentality. Don't get me wrong. I'm always a high energy guy and stuff like that. But when people meet me in person, they're always like, oh, you're a lot more mellow than I expected. Yeah. And Chandler was the same way. I would say Chandler's probably him plus 5, to be totally honest with you. But when he's not filming, he's a very subdued, nice, very polite, kind, very big-hearted guy.
Yeah.
And
he's a hugger.
Yeah, he's a hug. And he's a great dude, man. I mean, literally, we hung out with him for a while, and he was just like, let me chauffeur you guys around.
He's like, I'll drive the rest of the way.
It's like, just jump in my truck and we're gonna go. I'll take you wherever you want to go. And unfortunately that didn't happen. And he's busy. He's got he's got his dreams of opening up a zoo, and he's got a beautiful property, and he's got lots of potential there. And he's in the very beginning stages of making that into a reality, with his Serpentarium, number one, and then ultimately crocodile pens and all kinds of other stuff like that. And I think that, again, I think he can do it. I really do. I think he can do it, and I believe in him. And it was neat to see the vision of what he wanted to do with his future, and how. But the thing that touched me, and we're going to do a vlog on this very shortly, sometime next week, is. Really touched me about his passion for conservation, so I'm going to kind of ruin the vlog for some of you guys, or at least be a little bit of a whatever.
Spoiler.
Yeah, little spoiler. I've always been obviously into conservation. Growing up, I watched, all the guys, from Jack Hanna to Boyd Mattson to obviously Steve Irwin, Harry Butler. The list goes on. And I was always, so into the conservation side of animals. But the reason I haven't preached a lot about that was because I was always concerned, would I be hurting the cause? And what I mean by that is that if me, the reptile breeder, was preaching conservation, would other groups come back and go, look at this guy, he's keeping snakes in drawers, he's breeding snakes, he's selling baby snakes, and blah, blah, blah. And I never wanted my voice to hurt the cause I believed in so heavily. Meeting and talking to Chandler, I've changed my idea on that 100%. And I believe that Chandler, myself, other, a bunch of other YouTubers, obviously Savannah and so many other people, we have such a big voice together. If we combine our audiences, we're reaching millions of people with our voices. And it's a shame to waste that voice, even if you're afraid that maybe there might be a little backlash from some of the areas.
It's still a net positive.
It's a net positive. So you're going to hear me talk more about conservation. You're going to hear me being more involved with conservation, donating to conservation. I already have donated to conservation groups over the years, but now I'm going to be more public about it, encouraging other people to join on. And I think that we can, not just through talking about it and being a part of it, but also maybe even events that we do in the future together to help raise awareness is going to be something. So Chandler, being a 20-something really made an impact on my life, even at my age. And it's funny, I think that's one of the things that I always talk about is that, I think that as you get older, some people make the mistake of not paying attention to the youth, right?
I agree.
And I think that I've learned more in the last 5 years from people that are half my age or less than I have from anyone my age, right? Yeah. So from YouTube, I mean, the reason I became a decent vlogger was because I paid attention to 18 to 20-year-olds, the reason, I've did so many things in my life. I've listened to 20-something-year-olds, and their advice has guided me in the direction that I'm in today. And so I'll never be too old to look at people and think they're smarter than me or they have a better attitude. So anyways, point is, Chandler was great. I loved his animals. I loved his obvious ability to read animals and to understand what to do. And I loved his passion for conservation. And it's inspiring to me, So as a person, I love him. And you're definitely going to see us doing things more together. No doubt about it.
Yo, it was really funny to me, too. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know this. My mom told me afterwards, but it's so funny to think about. So my grandma was with us on the trip, too. Yeah. And she's not a super big animal person by any means. Like, I had a snake in her house. She was freaking,
All right.
So we get to Chandler's. They were there just for a second, but Chandler's got McCoy, big Eurasian owl, right? Eagle owl. Yeah. And, he goes, my grandma goes to like shake his hand and he's like, I'm a hugger. So like my grandma's now next to this giant bird. So just that made me giggle a little bit on the inside.
That
made
funny.
Me laugh.
Yeah, because he came out when we met him. He literally came out with Bagoy on his arm. And which Bagoy is amazing, and he's doing a great job of training him. As a matter of fact, I saw a video today.
I just commented on that one.
Yeah, that he flew across the pond, and that's amazing, And it's got to always be a little scary to put a bird that can fly, that means so much to you, set him down, knowing he can just fly away. Yeah. But again, the thing that's nice about birds of prey is they're typically very, very well trained,
very loyal,
and, very loyal. So once you get them in, they're good shit.
Sherry says, what an amazing adventure and a whole set of new memories you all have just completed. Loved every day of the vlogs. It felt like we were there with you. Glad you're all home safe and sending positive vibes to all.
Well, thank you, Sherry. Thank you for all your support always. And that's the thing. I mean, it's twofold, right? I mean, number one, you're right. We have this memories that will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that, number one, I want you guys to feel like you're along. That's how we film it. That's our intention. So I'm glad that at least you feel that way. I hope other people feel that way too. But also it's for me too. It's memories for me. It's a video diary of me to look back at the first time I met Tyler, or first time I met Chandler, or whatever, first time I went to Mark McCarthy's place, in the relationship. I think that's the other thing that really came out of this, and Jay talked about it, is we really solidified some relationships that were very, very important to me. Joe Wazalewski is a guy that is extremely connected in the animal world and the conservation side of the world, who I didn't know, but is good friends with Savannah from Gatorland. and she facilitated the ability for us to spend a day together, and it was amazing. And I'd like to say that I can call Joe a friend now.
Yeah.
And he had said we have an open invite to go see his place, and it was relationship like that. Him, Chandler, Tyler, Mark McCarthy, Sabrina, and Steve. I mean, the list goes on and on. You know, even the first time I met Ryan from Primitive Predators, I had
Sweetheart,
met Kyle.
too.
Great guy, Ryan. I love him to death. So everyone we met was really good. So I was really is happy about the people and the experiences and the memories we have from people than I was even the animals. So, but anyway, Sherry, thank you for always supporting us.
All right, I remember this lady,
Yeah, I remember
Amaya Nicole.
Yeah.
I think that's right. So
like
she says, just because you guys are awesome, it was great seeing you guys at the Growing Up Wilbanks barbecue, and once again, thanks for the share on Instagram, Amaya.
Yeah, no, my pleasure,
That's
and
awesome.
it was great to see you too. And we'll get to that event at the end of the podcast, but it was a really cool event, and yeah, you know, it was a lot of great people. Really great people. So, yeah, it was cool.
We had a blast, man. It was great.
It was a good time. And everyone there was so much fun, and it was a good day. I mean, I think we were, you know, probably Noah, myself, and Jay were all pretty tired.
Yeah, we were pretty bushed.
We were bushed at the end of a long journey, but it was so nice. You know,
So if you thought we were high energy, we're usually 10 times more high energy.
Yeah. Trust me, that was us on our worst day. But it was a good time, and we also knew we had a 14.5-hour drive.
we weren't too hyped on.
Yeah, that was coming up after a very long trip, but
went smooth though.
It did go smooth. Everything went smooth, and we got back, and everything was good.
Nolo comes back to say people need to realize that breeding and conservation go hand in hand. I agree.
Well, that's what we'll talk about in the vlog. You know, we'll talk about that as well. You know, the fact that there's a correlation between that conservation and captive propagation.
Yes.
But I also think that, you know,
I get it.
It's tricky, you know what I mean? And I think that you're going to see, you know, I've talked about this before, you're going to see BHB transition into a little bit different thing over the next few years, you know, or sooner possibly. I don't know how it's going to go, but obviously I think we'll always breed snakes. We'll always be part of the snake and reptile breeding world. But I think that, you know, we're going to want to be more on the education side, more on the zoo side, more on the aquarium side, and the breeding side will be kind of a sidebar to it.
Yeah.
We want to do enough that can satisfy my passion for it.
Exactly.
And also give some good content for you guys online. But at the same time, we you know, I want to keep moving in that direction and become more educational, more conservation side, and get involved, you know. And I think there's going to be some interesting trips coming up that guys like me and Chandler can do together that are conservation trips, maybe to Africa or Southeast Asia, that are going to whatever that's going to raise attention to things that need to get attention raised, right? And so what you think about it this way, let's say 5 YouTubers that all get, you know, 100,000 views on their videos, or plus, you know, can get 50,000 to 500,000 to 5 million views on their videos. You get 5 of us together and we go do something that is really important to us conservationally, you know, we're going to reach millions and millions of people with that message. Not to mention, when we do that trip, we may be doing 5 or 10 videos on the trip itself.
All together.
So together, when we're all said and done, if we're all doing it, we might have 20 million views, 20 million eyeballs they're on a specific conservation project.
Sick.
That is a responsibility that if we don't use our platform, we shouldn't have our platform, right? And so that's, again, something that I really thought a lot about after talking with Chandler, and Jay and myself have talked a lot about it. So this will be something. Like, obviously, there's some restrictions now with travel and life and stuff like that, but that will open in the future. And when that opens in the future, we'll be even more gung-ho, and I think we'll have some really pretty amazing adventures coming.
Yeah, this downtime is time to prep, and then once it opens up, we're ready.
Yeah, we're ready. Yeah.
I like this. Is it Beanwiggin? Beanwiggin just threw $20 for a nice hug. Appreciate
That's awesome.
it.
I love it. I love the hugs. But so then, moving on, was Tyler the next one went to?
Tyler was after Chandler, yes.
Yeah, so we obviously, same thing, Tyler and me have, so I really came familiar with Tyler from the show Ink Masters. You know, I mean, that's when I first saw Tyler. And by the way, any super chats, just go ahead and hit us up. We'll get to you guys, I promise. But so So Tyler and I have communicated for the last probably close to 2 years via Instagram and also text messages and stuff like that. And actually, in March of last year, we had tickets booked for Tyler and his girlfriend at the time to fly up to do the podcast back in March. I mean, of last year, and COVID hit. So literally, I remember him going like, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to fly up there or not, So we were still in that point where it was still kind of like people were still moving around, Yeah. I mean, it was that close. I mean, things were shutting down, but they were like still not really sure where things were going to go. And we decided to shelf it. And now, obviously almost 2 years later, a year and a half later, we still haven't got him up here. But this was the first time I got a chance to meet Tyler in person, and great guy. I loved his collection, really cool collection of snakes.
Yeah. Awesome animals.
Just really good guy to hang out and BS with. And we did, I mean, I think that was the thing. Almost every person we went to, Tyler and Chandler and everyone else, we spent as much time just chatting as we did filming.
It was so good, yeah.
So we filmed a bunch, and then we sat around and we told stories and we chatted and
built bonds,
Yeah, built bonds and had a couple girls from Canada that were in town that they were going to come meet Chandler and Tyler.
They crushed content.
They crushed it. They were like us. They were everywhere. I have a feeling it cost them a couple more bucks than it did us.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I think we didn't pay for anything, and I think they were paying for everything. I think some things they were getting deals on, but they were definitely I'm assuming there was pay, but I could be completely wrong. I don't know. But my point is that. They did it good. They hooked up with the right people. So they wanted to meet us. So they came to Tyler's and we hung out and chatted with them a little bit. And like you said, I kind of, followed them on Instagram and followed their adventure. They were super cool. And I love the fact that they had the balls to get on a plane from Canada and fly around and
travel all over.
Yeah, I mean,
Florida,
almost
North
every
Carolina.
place we hit, they hit. I mean, they were all, and then they ended up at Myrtle Beach. Yeah, at this Myrtle Beach safari. So I don't know how that went, but I saw an Instagram story with
they did go home though.
Did they went okay? Yeah.
That's all I know.
Know if they were going to go.
You never know.
Never know if they were going to get stuck there. But so yeah, it was a great time with Tyler. Really good dude.
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's the type of, like, straight up, you could tell by his personality that he would ride a motorcycle out of a plane into shark-infested waters while holding a cobra, you know? And I like that. That's badass.
He lived life hard, There is I think I can talk about this. I don't think there was any reason I can't. But there's everyone knows Tiger King, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be basically a reptile king or snake king. I don't know what it's going to be called, something like that. That's done by the same people as Tiger King, and Tyler is one of the characters in that. And he will be a character. He will be a character, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. I have no idea, but it's going to be interesting.
It'll be interesting to watch.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But
what's funny is remember when Tiger King first came out, I was so enamored that you knew so many people just through your life and stuff. Yeah. This one, we're gonna all know everybody.
Know every person that's in that. Yeah,
I met like 4 of them.
Yeah, we actually hung out with the majority of the people from the and they're all good friends of mine. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. But yeah, so Tyler's he's exactly what you think he is. I mean, what you see, unlike Chandler and myself, maybe that are higher energy when the cameras are on. Tyler's not. I mean,
he's the
like
same person through.
Dude. Yeah, he's the same dude all the time, man.
Yeah,
he's
just very chill.
What you see is what you get, and he's obviously a talented tattooer, but also a really good guy. I really liked him a tremendous amount, and I was glad because you don't know. When you meet someone in person, are they going to be arrogant? Or
especially
whatever,
people in the entertainment industry, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I know they're also everyone's reptile people, but
sure.
In entertainment, you are usually putting on something. So it's to see somebody and get what, like you said, see what you get. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, Tyler was good. Chandler was great. And then, God, what did we do after that?
So then...
I get so lost in this trip. It all
oh, my
together.
God, Brian.
Did we go to
Zoo Wildlife and Will Nace, right?
Yeah. So
and Kinkatopia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that wrapped up the day. We did Chandler in the morning, Tyler in the evening. And this trip was like not necessarily very well planned by me as far as traveling, you know what I mean? Like
driving routes.
I did a lot of like, I'm down in Miami, then I'm up in Jupiter, then I'm back down to Miami, and then I'm, if I would have like planned it to where we would have a lot less hours on the road. We ended up doing, I don't know, what was it, like 4,700 miles in 13 days.
Close like that. Yeah,
and then of course filming a ton between then, so it wasn't like we're just driving for those days. We're filming tons.
Filming,
of stuff.
and driving a lot.
So, so then we stayed down near where we were with Tyler, and then the next morning it wasn't that bad. It was only, I think it was less than an hour drive,
it
like
wasn't
maybe
far.
a 35-40 minute drive, something like that, to Zoo Wildlife Miami, which is of course Mario that was in Tiger King, his place, and we met up with Jacob Fader and as well as Savannah and Joe Wazalewski, like I had mentioned before. And so they came down. We got a chance to just do Zoo Wildlife. It's just a great place. I mean,
is so
there's
cool.
lions, there's tigers, there's monkeys, there's anteaters. There's we got a chance to get. That was the second time that I had a chance to get in with clouded leopards. The first time was the small clouded leopard I was telling you about that Mario gifted to Mark McCarthy, and but this was an adult, pretty close to adult anyways, clouded leopard that we were able to go in with and interact with a little bit. It wasn't super friendly, but it wasn't a mean one. It just didn't, a lot of times just didn't want to have anything to do with us.
Yeah.
But we were able to still get in with it, pet it and stuff like that. Of course, we saw Limbani, the chimp, but he's now at that age where you can't touch him anymore, which is a bummer because I've known him since he was young, and I was really looking forward to giving him a hug.
Reuniting with him.
But unfortunately, that was not in the cards, unfortunately, which is understandable because they become very dangerous at that age, and
you can tell. Yeah, you could tell that, like, if it's an animal that wanted to do something, it's able to do it. But we did get to see some baby lions. That was cool.
That was cool. We did get to play with some about 12-week-old lions, which is, listen, whenever you're playing with lions or tigers or whatever, like that, it's an interesting thing because they're kind of like cats,
but they're almost like dogs too.
Yeah, they're like a combination of a cat and a dog. They're feisty, they're fun, they're rambunctious.
I was so bummed because I almost got, it turned around and almost got me right in the face. I was bummed I didn't let it happen, man. Once I got in the car, I was like, I should have just let it.
Yeah, let it bite.
Imagine I split my lip wide open the whole rest of the trip. People be like, "What happened, man?" Nothing.
Got
just
bit by a
lions.
lion. Got a lion bite.
I know. I messed up. We're going back.
It was so it was a good time over there, and we just got to see everything that we always saw. Got to reunite with Oliver, the capuchin monkey that is one of my profile. I think it's my profile on Instagram actually is Oliver. So and then we went over to Jacob's place, another guy that is crafting a zoo. He wants to open up some public type of a facility. I think mainly for him, he's like going to do like guided and experiences.
Yes.
With his animals, he has really beautiful ruffed lemurs and he's got some galops and some Aldabra tortoises. He's got a lot of other little cool tortoises. He's got some sloths. So all in all, his place is beautiful. By the way, I mean it's
unreal.
It's like really beautiful place. I mean for someone his age to have landed a house and property like that is pretty impressive. And so we got to hang out with him after he gave us the tour because he used to work at Zoo Wildlife Foundation. So so because Mario was supposed to meet us there, but actually had some back issues and couldn't, just was in too much pain to come. We didn't get a chance to see Mario, so Jacob showed us around, which is cool. And so that was that. And then we went up to Will Nace's place, our friend, obviously Will and Summer, and we had a great time.
Man.
Yeah, just really amazing people. I mean, anyone
sweetest of hearts.
Yeah, I mean they're really fun people. Again, the common theme going on, starting to want to do a zoo, and so they have a property that is in development, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. They have some amazing animals. I mean, really probably one of the cooler venomous collections we saw.
I would say besides, I didn't go to McCarthy's, but besides what McCarthy's looked like, I would say he had the most heat per square foot.
Yeah, everyone had great stuff, but he had a really nice collection of venomous snakes, and I've seen a lot of it in his videos, so it wasn't anything too surprising. But got a chance to feed my first king cobra. I've messed with them a lot, but I've never fed them. And of course, had the opportunity to play with a lot of king cobras on this trip, which was really
that your
cool.
first time feeding forest cobras as well?
It was first time feeding
and
forest
a Gabby,
cobra
right?
And Gabby. Yeah, I don't think I've ever fed Gabby. I might have fed Gabbies in Africa actually.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think that at Bushveld Reptiles, Warren Klein's place in Bella Bella. Africa. I think I fed his gabbies and rhinos once. Actually, 4 snake bites. I think I did.
Oh, wow, really?
Bites. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did it. I can't remember for sure. We fed a lot of animals. That it was several years ago, but regardless, it was still cool to feed the Gabby, and
it was cool to see you geeked up about feeding that cobra, though. You looked like a little kid, man. I was so hyped.
I was hyped. I was super hyped about the cobra. It was super cool, and just it's just the whole. It's amazing how quick they eat. Like unlike pythons that like strike and then constrict, and like like Ivy the anaconda, she'll constrict for an hour or sometimes.
I know.
This one was like they, as soon as you put them out, they just start eating. They're just I'm going to eat this no matter what way it is. So Will's place was great. Got a chance to play with the skunk. He had foxes.
I love those foxes. Man.
Had a bunch of really cool stuff. And then we got, of course, this was the biggest controversy of the trip is what sub is the best sub. And
let's settle it right now.
Oh well let's right now.
Yeah.
So we had let me back up a second.
Yeah.
We went to a place with Joe Wozlowski in Savannah that wasn't necessarily sub, but they were steak sandwiches and Cuban sandwiches. And Joe said that was the best steak and Cuban sandwiches in Miami.
Yeah.
We had an interesting experience there. Probably won't go into it too much, but just some things got messed up. We almost didn't get our sandwiches. They were good. Not bad. Not bad.
They were good.
Well, so Jay is a big Wawa fan.
Yeah,
right?
I'll fight over it right now.
Yeah, so Wawa's obviously in New Jersey and Florida. Is that the only 2 places?
I think there's some in like Pennsylvania or Delaware, but not many. Mostly Jersey and Florida, yeah.
So sure, I had never eaten at Wawa. I've been to Wawa, but never eaten.
Probably got beef jerky or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Will, so we have the Cubano and the steak sandwich down in Miami. Then Will's like, have you ever had a pub sub? And that's of course Publix, which is a grocery store only in Florida or
only in Florida.
Only in Florida, Publix. So I said, no, let's go do it. You know?
Yeah.
So we went and got Publix, a pub sub. And some other things because we're going to be heading to Kinkatopia, which I'll tell you guys about in a minute.
But you can't go to Kinkatopia on an empty stomach.
Can't go to Kinkatopia on an empty stomach. Man. And so we got the pub subs. They're good. Not bad. Not bad.
Good.
Not bad. I wouldn't say they're unbelievably spectacular, but not bad. I mean, better than a bad sub.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a decent sub. So then we went to Kinkatopia. Which was a crazy Kinkajou sanctuary.
The only one in the world.
The only one in the world, and I get why. And but it was first off the people that ran it really cool. It's at their house. They basically have like a little lanai back porch that's turned into the indoor Kinkatopia sanctuary type thing, and then you walk into the backyard and there's all these cages. What they have like 20 something?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
They had 20 something rescued Kinkajous. And the one was called Trash Can. Actually, I guess is pretty famous. Has like 1 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, pretty viral videos.
Yeah, so some viral videos from that. So they had like a little genet, and then they had a really cool venomous snake room as well.
Yeah,
like really cool venomous snake room. And we got a chance to mess with the Gila monster in there. He had a bunch of different cobras and gaboon vipers and all kinds of cool stuff. So we got a chance to play with some venomous reptiles there, and then go out and kind of more or less interact with the Kinkajous. Some were more interactive than others. No ended up getting bit.
Yeah, he did. He was trying to mess with his fanny.
Yeah, messing with his fanny pack, and so he got bit. But they were sweet, and I love the passion that they had for Kinkajous. It was really cool to see. And
you need people like that.
Yeah. It was one of the weirder things I've seen in the animal world, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It was a really cool thing, and so that was the end of that day with Kinkatopia, and it was like I said. So you kind of get the idea. We went to Zoo Wildlife, Wilnace, and Kinkatopia, and so we had a few days like that where we're hitting through 3-4 places,
and we hit faders too. But it was almost like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Zoo
Yeah,
Wildlife
we hit right. Yeah, so we hit 4 places that day because we hit Zoo Wildlife Foundation, and
when you go to each new place, you're resetting your brain. You're like, all right, what do we film here? What are we looking at?
Yeah.
So even if it's like they both went into one video, in our heads, it's filming separate. You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely, because you're coming up with a whole new storyline,
new game plan. Yeah, and
so
it was awesome though.
But yeah, it's good. So it was a good day. But I remember leaving Kinkatopia. It was pretty late, and then we were actually driving to St. Augustine the next day. So it was about a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I think we wanted to put like an hour behind the drive, so we had about 3 hours left in the morning.
That's right.
And that's actually, I'll tell you the story about that really quick. Is that we're at Tyler's the day before, and Tyler's like, you need to go to Sabrina's place at Extreme Exotics.
Who's Sabrina?
I'm like, so I've seen some of Sabrina's stuff online, but I didn't really. I was following her on Instagram, ironically enough, because I saw like her clouded leopards and a bunch of other animals that she works with. And so I was like, okay, I do know. I follow her on Instagram, and he's like, yeah, you need to go. He goes, as a matter of fact, let me message her right now. So he messages her, and she gets back and says, yeah, come by. The last day, right? And he's like, I go, where's she at? She's like, oh, she's in Tampa. I'm thinking, well, we're heading west towards Oklahoma, so we can always hit Tampa and then head to Oklahoma. And then I've got my one buddy, Robbie Kesey, that he just was never in his area. He's kind of in between Orlando and Tampa. And so I was like, well, we'll go ahead and hit Robbie's place and then go to Sabrina's place, and then we'll hit Oklahoma. Great, no problem. So I go, yep, I'll come at whatever, we said whatever time on Friday or whatever day it was, right? Like we're going to be there. And it's like, great, good. So at some point, I think the next day we're at Zoo Wildlife and Will Nace's and then Kinkatopia. We I like, by this time I changed, cell numbers and stuff like that. And me and Sabrina were texting back and forth. I said, hey, can you throw me your address? And to my surprise, her address was St. Augustine, which is like 400 miles away from Tampa.
Yeah, very far.
It's on the northeast part of Florida, whereas Tampa is slightly south, but all the way on the west coast of Florida.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't be further from, you can't probably get two further places away in Florida. But I looked at it, and weirdly enough, it was actually closer to go to Oklahoma by 100 miles than it was to Tampa. So I decided, well, you know what? The one thing in St. Augustine I know that's really cool is the St. Augustine Gator Farm. And so I had a friend that was a curator of reptiles for a while, he was someone maybe not the curator, but he was a high up in the reptile department. And but he had left. So, but I did have my buddy Greg Woodstock, who is the pond guy, Aquascape. He had just done a pond for St. Augustine. So I contact Greg, and I go, Greg, you got contacts over at St. Augustine. Can you get me in tomorrow? One day I go, can I get in tomorrow? So he texts me literally the director of St. Augustine, and does like a group thing like, hey, this is John, Brian, good, you meet each other. Brian wants to come out, hang out, have a good time, whatever. And so sure enough, John texted me back, said, well, tell me what you want to do. And I go, this is Brian Barczyk. He goes, oh, yeah, I know your YouTube channel. Would love to have you out. It'd be great. Let's do it. And I said, all right, cool. So we have to go from Kinkatopia to St. Augustine. We're going to do St. Augustine first, and then ultimately going to do Extreme Exotic Sanctuary with Sabrina and Steve after. But we have 4 hours from Kinkatopia. Yeah. Figure we put an hour down. We left Kinkatopia at like whatever. I mean, it was nighttime. It was nighttime.
Something.
Yeah. So we drove till about 10 o'clock and got some sleep. Jay had to do editing and all kinds of stuff like that. And then we woke up and drove the last 3 hours to St. Augustine Gator Farm.
Yeah.
And met up with John. It was great to talk with him. It was great to have, be welcome at an AZA accredited zoo with open arms, and basically like, Brian, it's so great that you came to see us. And we chatted about stuff. We had some mutual friends, and
it was cool to hear you guys exchange like some adventure stories, because you guys both had some season on you.
He had been overseas plenty. I'd been overseas plenty, so it was cool to kind of together experience
in that like lost tomb of a library that they have there with all those artifacts. It was sick. Dude.
It was so cool. So cool. And then so we ended up obviously hitting St. Augustine Gator Farm. We did the tour, and then they allowed us to feed Maximus, which is like a
Maximo.
I'm sorry. Maximo, you're 100% right. Maximo, which is like a 17.6 foot or something like
that. Big
saltwater porosis crocodile. And so beautiful animal, and
cool to see them jump that high, huh?
yeah. So they let us.
I never knew that.
They let us feed it, jump. Yeah. So the saltwater crocodiles do kind of a unique thing. They actually jump out of the water by with their tail and they bounce a little bit. So I've actually done down the Adelaide and Northern Territory, Australia. I've done the jumping croc, cruises and stuff like that, where we've seen them in the wild do that. So it's cool to see them in captivity. But there's no other crocodile that gets more further out of the water.
It's like the great white of crocs.
It's like the great white of crocs, yeah, the breaching of the water or whatever. So, and I remember now, it was interesting because as I was feeding Maximo, I remembered the positioning that they get before they jump. Like their head will tilt a certain way, and that's when I was feeding them in the Adelaide. I remember once they started to tilt, you knew they were going to jump, because they were positioning themselves.
Getting that tripod under them,
and then they were going to jump out of the water. And it was just kind of cool to do that. But then we had Jim, who is the curator of reptiles, is one that let us feed Maximo, and we did a little interview with him, and it was cool because again, even Jim, now he was from Ohio back in the day when I was growing up in reptiles. So me and him had a bunch of mutual friends, and he actually even remembered seeing me at reptile shows in Ohio.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool to reminisce with that. And again, it's just cool to have a zoo like St. Augustine, have the respect for us to allow us to do whatever we want to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was just a really cool experience.
It's probably my favorite video as far as the way it came out. I like that whole style. I don't know if everyone else does.
Yeah, it felt very TV.
It felt cool. It was we got a couple interviews, and then you would, and it wasn't even how it felt as much as I love that you were talking about Komodo dragons, then we go do something with Komodo dragons. Then we come back to talk. It's cool.
Yeah. No, I liked it as well. I really did. I know we have a couple supers, and then we'll jump into the last couple places that we went.
Yeah, for sure. Little Bogus says, did you see anything that inspired you for 3.0?
Yeah. I mean, certainly. I mean, everything inspires me, right? Everywhere I go, I get inspired by something. I think that. Oh, we skipped Blake's Exotics, by the way.
Wait, how did we skip there?
We skipped Blake.
Then we skipped somebody. We skipped Primitive Predators too.
We skipped. That's right.
We skipped the whole day, bro.
So we skipped the whole day.
Oh,
so before St. Augustine, before Kinkatopia, before Will, we went to Blake's Exotics. Of course, Blake is a great guy. His farm was really inspiring.
It was super cool, man.
And so the reason I thought about it was that Blake inspired a lot of things to me. The way that he does a lot of things, and I loved his otters, or his otter, I should say.
Yeah.
Oliver. And,
he was so cute.
It's so super cute, and so there was a lot of inspiration that came.
He
from
really
that.
inspired Noah too, man. Noah's got a passion for Watusis now.
Yeah, Noah wants to have a farm like Blake's, where there's just a bunch of animals outside.
He really vibes with them, yeah.
Yeah, he really. I think if you asked Noah what his favorite place was, he would have said Blake's.
Yeah, I agree.
And but the thing I thought was a very juxtaposition was that all the places we went to, I talked about, were aspiring to be zoos, and Blake is the exact opposite. He does not want to be a zoo. He does not want to be open to the public, and he does not want people to come. As a matter of fact, I even saw a post from him yesterday on Instagram where it said, you guys can see all of my animals on YouTube. Please don't come to my house, because if you do, I won't let you in.
Yeah.
And he said, please respect my privacy, or something like that lines, which I find very interesting, and I find inspiring as well. That this is a guy that is sharing it via internet, but at the same time, he's doing it for him.
Yeah, he's like, don't even come by my house.
There's no aspirations to be a zoo or to be something else. He's just,
and there's no clout chasing, right?
No,
hey, look at all my cool animals. Sometimes you see people like that. This is nope, I don't even want you to see them.
It's I think Blake would do exactly what he's doing now if he didn't do it on YouTube.
Yeah, even 80 years ago. If he was alive 80 years ago, he'd be doing the same thing.
Which is an inspiration. So Blake's place was super cool, and had a great time, and he's a really good guy, man. Really, really good guy. And he's doing that aviary. I saw that he's starting to work on it, I think today or yesterday.
Get out,
he's starting to work on the netting. And that's going to be a banger over on his channel. So definitely go pay him some love. And that's going to be really cool, Blake's place. And then, and we talked about primitive predators a little bit when I talked about my experience with the Nile crocodile and getting fed. But obviously Kyle and then Ryan, who works with them, what a place, man. I mean, Kyle
I can't wait to see it done,
is really a perfectionist, and that place is going to be open to the public. Once again, a zoo that's going to be open to the public. He will get it done soon because he's got the resources to make it happen.
Yeah.
And truly spectacular enclosures, a really great collection of animals. So yeah, I think it's going to be called Jaws, which is going to be the
really?
Yeah, Jupiter Animal and Wildlife Sanctuary, I believe is
Love
what
that.
it's going to be called.
Good name.
And it's going to have the Jurassic Park gate, the whole shot.
Yeah, dude. And it's going to feel like Jurassic Park, too.
It's going to feel like Jurassic Park. And so we got a chance to not only feed the Niles there, got to hold a saltwater crocodile, which was cool because it was the first time I held a saltwater crocodile outside of Australia.
Yeah.
So that was really dope. And
played with King Cobra.
Yeah, played with King Cobra, which was really
cool.
cool.
They had a nice venomous spot, too.
Yeah.
And not even only just venomous, they had like cool, just, run-of-the-mill like animals people want to see. You know?
They had a lot of really cool stuff, and then of course we got to swim with Chubbs, their giant alligator. So that was really dope.
While they were feeding it.
While they were feeding it, yeah. I mean,
is
for those of you
crazy.
guys that haven't seen the video, go watch it.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, if you didn't know that, go watch the video.
So we missed those two things. So now we're back on track.
Yeah, and Wawa. We missed Wawa.
Oh
dude.
yeah, and then we did Wawa, and no doubt, hands down, Wawa was by far the best.
I'm getting a tattoo on my neck, dude, of Wawa.
Wawa
right there,
tattoo.
dude.
So,
I'm in the
so if
gang.
you guys are down, and if you're in the New Jersey / Pennsylvania, that kind of area,
Florida,
Delaware,
wherever.
or Florida, definitely hit Wawa. Good subs. We talked about like it would be cool doing this series where there's like all these. Which, by the way, there was this like
Gates?
Gates Fresh Kitchen.
Don't ever go there.
Don't ever go there.
Go straight home.
That's a shithole.
It should be it shouldn't even be a gate. It should be a locked door.
Yeah, it looked good from the outside.
Oh, you would have thought
then,
it was gonna swamp everything we've had.
It's like this looks like this is going to compete with Wawa. But my point is, there's all these like kind of again,
Buc-ee's.
Gates, and there's Buc-ee's, and there's Flying J,
Yeah.
or V or whatever the fuck.
Flying
it is.
J.
Yeah, Flying J, whatever it is.
Flying F's.
Yeah, whatever it is. So we thought about that. Like one day we should do a road trip where we hit all of these like gas stations that are kind of like
Fooderies almost.
almost food gas stations. But right now, no doubt, Wawa is the reigning champion of food
And it won't
gas
be beaten.
stations.
The only one I have to try that I've heard competes is Sheets.
Yeah.
And I've never even been near one. So one day we'll have to. The next time we're driving somewhere and I see it, we're pulling over.
Yeah. So that was the
Our miss day.
Yeah, that was our miss day.
Simple Man says, Baby Kush seems to be coming along well. I hope you all have a great night.
Have a great night too, man.
too,
I appreciate you. Baby Kush is coming along well. Bruce is working with them almost every single day. He's coming out almost every day.
So
and
cool.
I think that, as he's getting older, gaining trust, he's still a little bit twitchy, but I don't think he's a biter anymore, right?
Yeah.
I think that that doesn't mean we're going to take him out for the public right now, because I don't know that would be a smart thing to do. But I think that we're looking at in the near future, he might be able to come out and be on a perch, and
While
could
people are here,
while people are here. But and then we'll work from there. But yeah, and we're making big gains with that one.
That's all I have here right now, Bri Guy.
No worries, man. We're getting towards the end of our adventure.
Where are we at now?
Yeah, so we just did St. Augustine. Then we go on to Sabrina and Steve's, which is Extreme Exotics and Sanctuary. And then, of course, their pet shop, Extreme Exotics. First off, their Sanctuary, I'd mentioned how Mark McCarthy's was amazing. Well, theirs was equally amazing as far as cleanliness. I mean, really beautifully kept.
And their animals, you could tell they put hours into each animal.
I think that was the big thing I saw there, is that their animals are they're kind of like the reptarium of the mammal world.
Yeah, I agree.
Where like their animals are all handleable. We're able to get in with their 2 leopards.
Animals that normally
cloud
aren't, like
leopards.
the caracals, right?
Caracals, and just the lemurs and
bobcats.
Everything we went in with was unbelievably docile, and you could tell kangaroos were great.
Yeah.
The albino roo was amazing.
It was so cute. It tried hopping in my shirt after we got done feeding it.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Almost took it home with me.
I know it's so their wildlife sanctuary, again, working on opening up to the public. They're hoping by the end of the year, and they have their water features are second to none.
Dude,
I mean,
that
water
one
features
pool pond waterfall thing in the beginning. Oof.
They have a couple. Remember the otter one that's in the back is going to be good, but the one in the front. So yeah, they've got some really good stuff that's coming. So I had a great time at their place for the exotic side of it, and then we went over to their pet shop, which is a reptile pet shop, and again,
may be the nicest reptile pet shop I've been into.
It is definitely the best one I've been into.
Yeah, I mean,
ever.
I can't think of anyone that rivals it. To be honest with you, I've
Not
been in
even
some
close.
nice ones, but I haven't seen any that's better than that for sure.
And not only just the way it looked, but the animals. Like they're like the animals they had. Like, and I said this to you the other day. It's stuff that typically you'd either have to know someone that bred it, or you'd have to go to an expo. Like you wouldn't see it at a pet store. You know?
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. So we had a great time with them. Again, some great enclosures, great
relationships
animals,
too.
Really fun people. I've been in touch with both Steve and Sabrina since.
Same.
So they're great people to know and to kind of get to know more, and just lovely people, really, and lovely animals for sure. So that wrapped up the Florida adventure, and then we were actually en route for a 13-hour. Was it 13 hours?
It might have been more
maybe even 50.
because it was 1,200 miles.
It was 1,700. It was almost 18 hours. It was 17
Yeah.
and a half, like 17 hours and 50 minutes or something like that. Boy, I tell you, that was
18.
a lot. Yeah, it was 18 hours.
fine.
It was 18 hours. And so we had to go from Sabrina's place there. So I think we put, I don't even know, we put like 5 hours maybe?
Maybe less. I think
Maybe 4 hours?
Yeah, something like that, because was that the night we were trying to find somewhere to stay and we kept not being able to find
that was
somewhere?
on the way home.
Oh, okay.
That was on the way
okay.
home. The last night.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think what that one was that we were going to drive 5 hours, and then 4.5 hours in, I started looking for a hotel, and there was like one the next exit.
Yeah.
We're like, let's just stop.
Let's just go.
Let's
We're
just
tired.
stop. Let's be done. And so we didn't make it. And then we had to drive that last 13 hours or whatever the next day.
Yeah.
To Oklahoma. Got to Oklahoma, and then we didn't get all the way there actually. We were about an hour away from Bob Clark's the next day. So So the next day we went to Bob Clark's.
Oh, yeah, we stayed in Arkansas, right?
Yeah,
like 5 minutes from the border.
Yeah,
of
we stayed
Oklahoma.
right across the border from Oklahoma, and then we went to Bob Clark's, which just again is a legend in the business,
Dude.
And listen, his place was amazing. I really enjoyed his place. He had some amazing reticulated pythons, as well as other animals as well. Burmese pythons. Obviously had the pied burms and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, was that today's or that's what day?
No, that's today. Today that came out.
That
Bob
came
Clark's
out today. Bob's came out today. So. It's
so cool to like you said, to meet a legend. When I got into snakes, the first names I heard were Brian, Barczyk, Kevin McCurley, and Bob Clark. You know what I mean? So to see another one, to meet the third one of the three I heard of is wild.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't. Again, I always say I preference by saying, listen, if someone did it, I don't know, and I'm not saying no one's done it, but I had never seen anyone video his place.
Ever.
I've never seen a video of his place before. So to me, it was
a pleasure,
really special, and an honor to be someone. Whether there has been 2 or 3 that I haven't seen or not, it's very rare that people get to go do it. And so I had some giant snakes. We're actually picking up a few snakes from him, but I won't tell you what they are. They're
you guys are gonna be so hyped.
Yeah, they're coming. It's gonna. Yeah, it's definitely cool animals. I mean, and it's gonna be great for Reptarium 3.0. These animals, they won't go into Reptarium 2.0 or even 1.0 yet. It'll probably be something that goes in when we do the expansion and stuff like that. So we're starting to work with them, but that'll be about a week from now. So super excited. In particular, all of them.
Yeah, they're all sick, dude.
Yeah, they're all going to be super exciting to work with and stuff like that. And then so we hung out there, and then that night we actually went to Mike Wilbanks, met up with Debbie.
Yeah.
For the first time, and
saw Cusco and Jesse.
Jesse from Freedom Breeder. Brian Cusco came in. Yeah, Cusco. Brian Cusco, formerly known as Cusco.
Yeah.
The artist formerly known as
Cusco. I actually like that better. We should do that. Let's change
the
the whole
artist
thing.
formerly known as Cusco. So we hooked up with them. Just went over to Mike Wilbanks' house for a little fiesta. I don't know.
It was a fiesta. We had quesadillas, so it was technically a fiesta.
Yep, quesadillas.
Yeah, it was so good too.
So it was great just to kind of have that. And then we went to a gas station,
dude,
and ran into a guy. Oklahoma,
dude.
Yeah, this guy pulls up in a hat and
on a real hog, dude.
Real, Harley Davidson. He was definitely a cowboy.
literally a gun, a Glock in his back pocket.
A Glock.
I'm not even talking about like a holster. I'm talking. Just
no, there was a clip. That was it.
Clip?
That was just a clip,
a
but
clip,
that's nothing, dude.
Yeah, just a clip in his back pocket, a Glock, you know.
So
and
good.
Nice enough guy, you know, tatted up,
real sweetheart.
no shirt, you know, no shirt, just you know, kind of
just tight cowboy jeans.
Yeah, just hanging out down there. So, so then we did get home safe, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
And or to the hotel, I should say. And then of course the next day was the barbecue. And
the crescendo to the trip.
Crescendo of the trip, and we had a chance to just kind of see Mike's collection, hang out with all the people from the barbecue, which were really great. Every single person that we met was unbelievably kind to us and open arms.
Really made us feel like home family, you know?
Yeah, it was super cool. Great event. It was just cool. And that lasted, I mean, gosh, we were there at 10 in the morning, and it went till... We
left
finally
at like 5 something, right?
It was
5:30?
almost 6 o'clock.
Oh,
it was almost 6 o'clock. Before we got on the road, and then we had that long ass 15-hour drive home. So that was the adventure. I just wanted to wrap up the adventure for you guys,
go a little
tell you
more in
things
depth,
and go into depth on the behind the scenes of what was happening and how it went down. And it was a great time, man. It was a lot of memories, a lot of great people, a lot of great animals.
A couple people asked, maybe you can clear it up. They asked like why we didn't do anything with Paul Cafaro, even though we talked about it, or Kenan and stuff. And
okay, yeah. So Paul was busy with a guy named Tanner Fox, who's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
They were out doing some deep sea fishing.
Yeah.
And so Paul was unavailable. Yeah. And then Kenan was actually up in Chicago.
Yep.
So we wanted to hook up with Kenan. We wanted to hook up with Paul.
Just wasn't in the cards on this
just
one,
wasn't
right?
in the cards. And both of them wanted to do stuff with us, but the timing wasn't there. You know, Kenan literally came back the day after we left Florida, and there were before, so he was gone for 4 or 5 days, but like literally there was no way for me to get to Kenan's before he left, and there was no way I could wait around until he got back. So it was just one of those things.
Yeah, bummer we didn't get to see him, but it was all love, you know.
Yeah, and Paul was the same way. Like Paul was like, "Is there any way you can do it on Saturday?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm just booked. I can't do it." You know,
I know.
And Tanner was coming into town, so we missed those guys. I mean, there were other people we missed too. We didn't get Tom Crutchfield. I really wanted to go to Tommy's place, but it just wasn't in the cards. Like I'd mentioned, Robbie Kesey is a guy that I really wanted to go see because he's a good friend of mine. And I'm sure I haven't talked to him. I'm sure he's a little bit bummed at me that I was down there and didn't go see him. It was nothing personal.
But we wanted to, believe me.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's but yeah, there was no beefs or anything like that. Like, I mean, hey, listen, I love everyone down there, and there's probably 5. Well, I didn't get to Underground Reptiles. I wanted to go see those guys too.
Yeah. That was one we were super bummed on too.
Yeah, so yeah, there was a bunch.
But that means we got to go back.
Yeah, that's the thing. And there's probably 100 other. Oh, that's right, Everglades Outpost, where Chris Gillette works. We were invited down there. Chris was actually in Africa at the time, but we were invited by another guy that works there, and we just couldn't squeeze it in. So I definitely want to go check all that stuff out.
Oh, there's probably I think Florida in the world probably has the most animal places per like square mile. It's unreal, dude.
It's crazy. I mean, it is wild. I mean, Florida is wild.
Yeah.
All around is wild. So yeah, those were the places that we missed. But not by us wanting to. But yeah, we'll get back down there again. I mean, Florida's great. I mean, obviously, I'd like to go down there in the winter time. Would be great.
Where it's not so damn
where
hot.
It's not like 100.
And plus, then we could escape the heat here, right? Because now we came back and it's still hot here.
Yeah.
Well, the last couple of days have been beautiful.
Yeah,
though.
It's been beautiful here.
Oof.
But I think that's the thing. I mean, I think that obviously we planned this whole trip around Lori's birthday.
Yeah, that was the reason we
went. But we'll go back probably this winter, maybe January, February. We'll make a trip down, get away from the cold, and have some fun down in Florida again. So, but yeah, no, it was a good trip all in all, and yeah. So
thank you for bringing me along, dude. It was honestly an incredible experience.
Yeah, and again, if you guys have any other questions, hit me up in the super chats before we end. We still have plenty of time here if you guys want us to keep chatting, or we'll end it soon. It doesn't really matter either way. But since we've been back, it's been great. Have some cool stuff that we filmed since we've been back. That's pretty exciting. So, again, we're a few days ahead, which is awesome because it gives us a little bit of a chance to take a little bit of a break too.
Yeah, and just to clear our minds a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you what, guys, that was as hectic of a trip as I've done in my life. Most of the trips I go on are very hectic.
Yeah.
Because we pack so much into it.
Exactly. I mean, that was get the most out of it, right?
Yeah. And that was kind of the ongoing joke, it's like, oh, what else is Brian going to add to the day? You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, oh, by the way, we're going to go
There's a sticker factory down the street. We got to go check it out.
We got to go check that thing out, So, but it was...
but it adds to it because those are new memories we wouldn't have done,
Yeah, no, and it was cool. And, of course, Noah was vlogging some great stuff. So you guys, if you didn't see that, go check that out.
They make me giggle, man.
Yeah,
he's so
Noah
funny.
always does the comedic side of the trip, and it's always fun. But I think he had a really great time. He had one day where he kind of lost it for a minute.
St. Augustine Day.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think the heat just got to him, and he had a bad hot dog, and
hot dog fucked him up, dude.
And he just literally for about 2 hours, I thought he was done. Like he just was like, I'm just gonna go to sleep, And
he's like, I don't even want to be awake right now.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
Yeah, he was done, but then he rebounded quickly and he hung in. I think he really enjoyed himself, which is great because I'll be honest with you, Noah, a couple years ago was not a traveler at all. Like if you said, hey, let's get in the car and drive 2 hours, he'd be like, I fucking hate driving. I don't want to drive 2 hours.
And now he's driven 10,000 miles with us.
Yeah, exactly. 10,000 miles in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
7 months, whatever it's been.
And I mean, he's come on other trips too. He went to Scales and Tails, right?
Yep.
He went with us into Chicago, right? To go with when we went with Savannah, Mike, and them.
Yes, he did. Actually.
You know what I'm saying? So he's been going on a lot of, and I love that too because Noah always adds an extra layer of flavor.
Yeah, fun. He's always got something goofy.
He's a giggler
that he's got going on, but
you need gigglers, man.
Yeah. So it's like I said, it was a fun trip, and can't wait for. I don't know what the next adventure is going to be. Like I said, we're probably going to go out to Utah maybe later this month.
Sick.
Or, well, no, is this what month? This is the last
August.
day. This is the last.
Oh
day
yeah. But I know what you mean.
July. Yeah. So tomorrow is August. So the end of August, we'll probably go out to Utah, and still really looking at South Africa as an opportunity, maybe towards the end of the year to go visit Dingo and Heidi and my friends over there. But again, it's
world
just
permitting.
World permitting. I don't know what's going to happen by then. Hopefully, things will be better for everybody. But yeah, other than that, I think we're going to be in town quite a bit. We're going to definitely go to Critchlow's, like I said, maybe in the next week or two. We'll make a day trip out to Critchlow's Alligator Sanctuary. But then we got a lot of work to do here, man. Not only do we have work with all the animals here, we got to finish the new Caledonia room. The expansion. I've got meetings again this Wednesday, next Wednesday coming up. With my architects, and then shortly thereafter meeting with the city planning department, just to make sure that they don't have a problem with what we're going to do. I mean, we've talked to the inspectors in the city a little bit, and it seems like they're excited about it, but now we're getting into the nitty gritty. They've got to see what we're going to do, and then they've got to sign off on it and stuff like that. And then ultimately, build out, which is going to be intense, very intense. So yeah, we've got a lot of work. We don't need to be cruising around too much, you know what I mean?
Becky says, Jay, you honestly have the best job ever. I'm jealous. Also, it's still raining, if you were wondering. And
still
I
raining,
do believe
Becky.
that. Thank you.
I tell you. I saw a picture on Instagram where it was just like downpouring there,
So crazy.
It's been a weird weather month for us, too.
I think
summer,
the year,
the summer's been, like last year was super sunny, and I don't remember much of last year because I was in anxiety hell. But I just remember it being like sunny and hot most of the days.
Yeah, it didn't rain I mean, we've had it, that park down the street's flooded like 3 times since the beginning of the summer.
Yeah, and that's rare for us to have the rain that we've had this year.
And even this winter, right? Like, because I remember when I moved here, you're like, it hardly snows. Yep. And it didn't snow accumulation-wise, but it snowed damn near every 2 days here.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a dusting, it snowed the whole week, whole winter. So
it was definitely a little bit of a different
winter. Which is crazy,
But yeah, so hopefully we'll have a milder winter this year. And,
But
and then hopefully we can get to travel. I really, since Jay's been with me, we obviously the world fell apart
a little bit.
Whatever. We did a couple trips to Utah and a couple other places, and then the world shut down. So I can't wait to take him and to see some of these places in Australia and South Africa and Indonesia and all these places. Chandler and myself have been talking about a trip that we might make to Indonesia here, when things get better. I talked to my friend over in Indo, and we can get everything we need to get there. But right now
it'd be a crazy set of videos.
Yeah,
dude.
They're in COVID hell right now. Yeah. So that's all he said. He goes, Brian, I'll take care of everything you need to take care of to do everything you need to do. He goes, but you wouldn't want to come here now. He goes, don't come here now. And he goes, it's going to be at least 3 to 5 months before this country recovers from what I guess they're in really bad shape right now. So
getting that India swag. swagger over there.
Exactly. Well, we all are, man.
Yeah. Ethan, and we just did talk about this. What he says, what's up, guys? Did you get a chance to meet Camp Kennan, or did the schedules not align? Either way, the videos I've seen that were awesome and sending good vibes.
Yeah. Ethan, we just talked about how we just literally schedules didn't align. He unfortunately was flying out to Chicago exactly when I was in his area. So
and came back when we left.
Yeah, literally, he was coming back the day we left Florida. So there was zero chance of getting over to Kennan's place. So next time for sure. I mean, we always, me and Ken have been friends from the beginning.
He's from my area, technically, right?
Yeah, exactly, up in that area. And a lot of people don't know this, but, Kenan started on my channel.
No way, really?
You didn't know that either?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
no.
Kenan started the first 6 months he was on YouTube. He was on Animal Bites.
Get out! I didn't know that.
So the first 6 months that Kenan was on YouTube
That's so cool.
was on my channel, and then he just started his own channel. Well, he had his own channel while he was doing my channel, but obviously my channel was the platform that helped launch his channel.
Yeah.
And then he did his own thing, and he's doing great now, which I love him because he's a great guy.
Oh, that's awesome. That's all I have for us right now, Brian.
Well, listen, I think this has been a lot of fun. I hope that you guys have enjoyed kind of the recap of what's going on. Hopefully by next week we'll have as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to have Brian Potter maybe come back on for a Snake Talk episode next week. So I think next Saturday I'm going to see if Brian can come up and spend the day with us. We got some interesting things I might be able to share with you by next week.
Let's hope
so. Brian, so yeah, I think I can share it. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'll have to talk to him how he feels about me sharing this news. But yeah. So we'll maybe have a guest on next week. If not, I'll line up another guest. So, but in the meantime, thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for all the super chats. You guys are amazing. And there's no more, right?
Nope, that's
it.
Okay,
I want to just make sure we didn't miss anybody. So, all right, guys, love you, man. I'll see you guys in the vlog tomorrow.
All right, bye.
See you guys. Bye.